Welcome back, gamers. Today, we're diving into the world of samurai with a review of Ghost of Tsushima. This open-world adventure game has been making waves since its release, and we're excited to share our thoughts on this epic journey. So, grab your katana and get ready to explore the island of Tsushima with us. For a while now, fans of the Assassin's Creed franchise have been yearning for a game set in feudal Japan. With Ghost of Tsushima, that yearning has finally been satisfied. Sucker Punch's latest offering takes players on a stunning journey through one of history's most visually breathtaking landscapes. The game's sword fighting system is one of the best in the open-world action genre, making for an immersive experience. Although there are a few issues with stealth, enemy AI, and some minor annoyances, these are outweighed by the game's many moments of excellence. Overall, Ghost of Tsushima is an absolutely gorgeous adventure that delivers on the long-awaited promise of a game set in feudal Japan. Although Ghost of Tsushima is a work of fiction with fictional characters, it draws its inspiration from the actual invasion of Japan by the Mongol Empire in 1274 that began on the island of Tsushima. In the game, players assume the role of Jin Sakai, skillfully portrayed by Daisuke Tsuji, who begins as a samurai. However, a disastrous battle against the Mongol invaders forces Jin to question the efficacy of the strict and honorable samurai code in dealing with this new and dangerous threat to his homeland. Ghost of Tsushima centers on Jin's inner conflict as he grapples with the tension between his formative teachings and his unwavering desire to protect his homeland at any cost. While it takes a bit of time to gain momentum, this struggle is an engaging and captivating storyline. Despite Jin's lack of charisma as a protagonist, his adversary, Cotton Khan, portrayed by Patrick Gallagher of Glee fame, exudes charisma in spades. Khan is one of the most unforgettable game villains in recent memory, thanks to his understated intensity that is both calming and terrifying. He is an extremely cunning character who is always one step ahead, and his presence as the main antagonist is a significant factor in Jin's 40 to 50-hour quest for revenge, which is executed brilliantly. Despite the high quality of the English voice cast, it's regrettable that Sucker Punch was unable to synchronize the performance capture with the Japanese voice acting. Consequently, if players opt for the exceptional Japanese audio track featuring Kazuya Nakai as Jin, the dubbing appears noticeably cheap, with poorly matched lip movements and facial expressions that fail to reflect the emotional delivery. Although this isn't a significant problem, playing in Japanese is still a worthwhile experience. Furthermore, players can activate the stunning Kurosawa mode, which applies a black and white film grain filter to the game, paying homage to classic Akira Kurosawa movies. However, I wouldn't recommend using Kurosawa mode for the entire campaign, as some quests require color recognition, but it's a fantastic visual effect to use occasionally. The music in Ghost of Tsushima is consistently excellent and never fails to disappoint. The dynamic score transitions smoothly from soft and atmospheric shakuhachi flutes during stealth sections to booming taiko drums during sword fights, heightening the tension of each encounter. The increasingly rapid strumming of biwas and shamisen adds to the intensity of tense situations. Regardless of the player's activities, the music always complements and elevates the emotions that the gameplay and cinematics seek to evoke. Ghost of Tsushima's combat is a skillful blend of various elements from different games and movies, including the Batman Arkham series, pre-Origins Assassin's Creed's Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, and the works of Kurosawa. The resulting combat system is nothing short of magical. Despite its complexity, it is easy to comprehend at a surface level. Players have access to light attacks for quick damage, heavy attacks for more significant damage that can break through enemy defenses, a block button to counter specific attacks, and a dodge button to avoid unblockable attacks. While the basic mechanics of Ghost of Tsushima's combat system may seem familiar, what sets it apart is the ability to switch between different stances at the press of a button. As players progress through the game, Jin unlocks new sword stances that each offer unique movesets and strengths against specific types of weapons. For example, the starting stone stance is effective against swordsmen, as a charged-up stab attack can pierce their guard and cause significant damage. Later on, players learn the water stance, which features slower but more powerful strikes that can penetrate the defenses of shield-wielding enemies. This addition of stance switching keeps the combat engaging and fresh throughout the entire game. In total, there are 4 stances available, and mastering them all is essential to succeed in combat. Players must identify the most significant threat at any given moment and select the stance that is best suited to handle it, while simultaneously playing defensively. As players progress through the game, the combat becomes more challenging and requires them to be nimble and adapt quickly. The best moments of combat in Ghost of Tsushima are fast-paced, frenetic, tactical, and authentically capture the fantasy of being a highly skilled but vastly outnumbered samurai. The attention to detail in Ghost of Tsushima's combat system is what makes it feel so exquisite and visually stunning. The minimalist on-screen HUD and close-up camera angles provide players with a front-row view of the action, while enemies' audio cues signal when to dodge or block incoming attacks. Fatal attacks culminate in Jin spinning around to face the camera as the enemy collapses, with blood spurting out dramatically. Additionally, defeated enemies may crawl helplessly on the ground in a bid to escape. Players can wipe the blood off their swords, bow respectfully to their opponents, and more. These little touches add depth and authenticity to the combat experience, making it all the more immersive. What sets Ghost of Tsushima's progression system apart is the absence of traditional level-based stat progression. The player's strength doesn't increase because of invisible numbers going up, resulting in dealing more damage and taking less damage. Instead, the player's technique improves, allowing them to better deal with tougher enemies. This method of progression is extremely gratifying. When players level up, they can spend points to unlock new abilities, such as blocking a previously unblockable attack from spear-wielding enemies, or blocking arrows to handle archers. They can also unlock the ability to make enemies flee in terror after executing a perfectly timed parry, similar to the gameplay mechanics in Sekiro. This system makes leveling up and unlocking new abilities rewarding and meaningful. One of the best aspects of Ghost of Tsushima's progression system is that the player will never encounter an area where they are suddenly getting one hit killed by previously manageable archers, or spend an inordinate amount of time whittling down enemies who are arbitrarily several levels higher than them. This system eliminates the need to grind through side quests to reach a certain level minimum to advance the story, which is a common issue in many other games. As a result, the player can focus on the story and gameplay without being bogged down by unnecessary leveling and grinding. One of the most impressive aspects of Ghost of Tsushima is how well the difficulty level is balanced throughout the entire game. As the campaign progresses, enemies become stronger and require players to upgrade their sword, armor, and charms to keep up with the difficulty curve. However, the improvements from gear always feel secondary to the skills acquired, and the challenge always feels fair. Even when playing on hard mode, which makes enemies more aggressive, the lethality of the sword remains intact. This balance ensures that the difficulty never feels overwhelming, but instead is challenging enough to keep the player engaged and invested. In addition to the sword stances and leveling system, players also have access to a range of tools and gadgets acquired throughout the game. As Jin becomes more adept at bending the samurai code and using unconventional tools, his combat abilities expand significantly. Players can use kunai, similar to how Batman uses batarangs, to quickly interrupt or eliminate weakened enemies. Sticky bombs can be used to disorient a large crowd, while the trusty bow can land a headshot to take down heavily armored enemies in a single hit, potentially ending the fight before it even begins. The variety of approaches players can take in combat is impressive and adds to the overall richness of the gameplay experience. While the blade-to-blade combat in Ghost of Tsushima is excellent, the same cannot be said for the ninja-inspired stealth mechanics. While it works on a basic level, it fails to deliver on its promises. Players can crouch walk through tall grass to sneak past enemy encampments, assassinate foes from above, and purchase upgrades to take out multiple enemies simultaneously if they are clustered together. However, the stealth system lacks depth and fails to deliver the same level of satisfaction as the sword combat. It feels like a missed opportunity to fully integrate stealth as a viable alternative to combat in the game. The problem with the stealth mechanics in Ghost of Tsushima is that the enemy's behavior is unrealistic once players get detected. For example, if players climb onto a rooftop, enemies do not follow them or hunt them down. Instead, enemies just yell and throw shurikens. Similarly, if players break line of sight and crouch in a nearby flower patch, which is still visible to the enemies, the AI just turns around, looks elsewhere for a moment, and then sounds the alarm. It feels as though once players break stealth, the AI simply gives up and becomes ineffective. This lack of realism and depth makes the stealth aspect of the game feel lackluster compared to the sword combat. Moreover, the stealth tools available to Jin are very basic and lack the creativity that would make stealth more engaging. Most of the tools do the same things, but with different ammo types. The wind chime is a distraction for a single enemy, while the firecracker distracts a group of enemies. The bow can silently kill enemies, and the longbow can silently kill helmet-wearing enemies. There's also a dart that silently kills enemies and causes them to puke blood, and another dart that makes enemies turn on each other. Additionally, the mandatory stealth segments in the game typically involve finding a clearly marked stealth route and using distractions to clear enemies out of the way. The stealth gameplay lacks the flexibility and versatility of the melee combat, making it feel like a missed opportunity to provide a more immersive and engaging stealth experience. Thankfully, Ghost of Tsushima offers a way to make going loud just as advantageous as being stealthy, and it does so by staying true to its samurai cinema roots. At the beginning of most combat encounters, players can trigger a standoff, which allows them to target one enemy in a classic showdown. Players must wait for the enemy to make a move and then strike with their own attack to take them down in one hit. If players time it correctly, that's one less enemy to deal with when the fight starts. Players can make these standoffs a major part of their combat strategy by investing points into the standoff technique and wearing armor that allows them to chain multiple standoff streaks together. By the late game, players can take out 5 enemies at the start of every fight, which feels incredibly satisfying. However, there is a significant risk involved with standoffs. They can be devastating if players lose. If players lose, their health is almost drained completely and they are surrounded by all of the still living enemies in the area. The risk becomes greater later on as enemies start using feints to trick players into attacking early. Nevertheless, standoffs are a fantastic mechanic that fits perfectly with the samurai theme. They make the tactic of charging in through the front gate of an enemy encampment just as rewarding as silently infiltrating an encampment and stealthily clearing out guards. Overall, Ghost of Tsushima's combat system is one of its greatest strengths, and the standoff mechanic is an excellent addition that makes both stealth and going loud equally viable options. Open-world games often boast stunning virtual landscapes, and Ghost of Tsushima is no exception. Although it may not fully deliver on the promise of its 2018 gameplay reveal trailer, the game is still breathtakingly beautiful. Every scene is richly detailed with dense foliage, including grass, trees, leaves, and flowers that sway gently in the wind as players move through the world. The island of Tsushima is brimming with natural beauty, making it a delight to explore even if players don't have a particular destination in mind. Overall, Ghost of Tsushima's visuals are a standout aspect of the game, and the attention to detail in the environment is truly impressive. Sucker Punch's design in Ghost of Tsushima encourages players to explore the environment by integrating traditional waypoints into the world instead of using a UI overlay. For example, following a plume of smoke will always lead players to something worth investigating. A tree with different colored leaves in the distance will always yield some sort of reward, and following a trail of torii gates will never disappoint. This approach is refreshingly organic, much like it was in The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Even when players set a waypoint from the map to head toward a specific quest or location, instead of following arrows on the screen, they will follow the direction of the wind. This not only adds to the immersion, but also encourages players to explore and appreciate the game's beautiful open-world environment. The second type of side quest is called Mythic Tales, which are much more involved and memorable than the Tales of Tsushima. These are multi-part stories that usually revolve around seeking out a legendary item or technique that is steeped in the island's history and mythology. These quests are often visually stunning, with fantastical set pieces and a heightened sense of adventure. Completing them often unlocks powerful abilities or gear that can make Jin's journey much easier, and they're some of the most memorable moments in the game. The third and final type of side quest are the more traditional open-world fare, with Jin riding out to clear out enemy camps or rescue hostages. These are generally less interesting than the other two types of side quests, but they're still a good source of resources and gear. Ghost of Tsushima features various side quests that provide a range of experiences for players. The Tales of Tsushima are the most common and involve Jin helping people with their problems. Although the stories and characters may not be particularly memorable, they are well thought out and offer unexpected challenges. The game also includes multi-part character-specific side quests that span the entire campaign, allowing players to explore the individual story arcs of major characters like Sensei Ishikawa, Misako, and Yuna. These side stories reflect different aspects of Jin's journey and offer insights into his development. Some of the later side quests deal with heavy subject matter and make exceptional use of the game's scouting mechanic, offering clever and emotional experiences for players. The rewards for completing Tales of Tsushima side quests typically come in the form of charms that boost specific aspects of your character, such as stealth or critical hit damage. In the beginning, these charms were a great incentive to complete side quests, but as I acquired most of the charms needed later on, the Tales of Tsushima side quests lost much of their appeal in terms of rewards. As a result, I found myself losing the desire to seek them out. If you're tired of running errands for peasants and want to go on some truly epic adventures, then you'll want to check out the Mythic Tales. These are not your average side quests, they have you searching for legendary techniques and gear, complete with animated sumi cutscenes that are so cool, they'll make you want to learn how to paint like a samurai. And the rewards are no joke, we're talking about heavenly strikes that can cut through foes like butter armor, that can make enemies run in terror. These quests are the best of the best, and you won't want to miss out on them. What's better than collecting things, getting cool stuff and having a blast while doing it? And that's exactly what Ghost of Tsushima delivers. Every major collectible offers a fun mini-game challenge along with a juicy reward. Bamboo strikes not only give you more resolve to heal and use special moves, but also let you indulge in a satisfying button-pressing frenzy. But wait, there's more. Shrines not only offer powerful charms that can boost your character, but they also bring back the iconic platforming sections from Sucker Punch's other beloved games, like Infamous and Sly. Who knew exploring and collecting could be this much fun? If you're the type of person who loves to find every last hidden trinket in a game, Ghost of Tsushima has got you covered. The minor collectibles may not offer anything too groundbreaking, but they're scattered everywhere, waiting for you to pick them up and add them to your ever-growing collection. From Mongol artifacts to journal entries to Sashimono banners, there's no shortage of things to discover. And even if the rewards aren't anything to write home about, at least the game makes it easy for you to travel around and find them all. With fast travel options available to any discovered point of interest, you can explore to your heart's content without worrying about getting lost. I spent a solid 40 to 50 hours in Ghost of Tsushima, but who's counting when you're having fun? I completed everything from the Mythic Tales to liberating Tsushima from Mongol rule, and even delved deep into the multi-part side quests for each supporting character. But I wasn't done yet, I continued on for another 15 to 20 hours to wrap up every last side quest and collectible, hoping for some grand reward at the end. Sadly, it wasn't worth it. And there's not much to do in the post-game, besides admire the gorgeous scenery. No new game plus and no harder difficulties to keep things spicy. And don't even get me started on the cutscenes, they're unskippable even on a second playthrough. Oh boy, let's talk about Ghost of Tsushima's photo mode. It's like a playground for virtual photographers, and it's one of the best out there. The world is so gorgeous that you'll want to capture every moment of it, and thankfully, the photo mode makes that super easy. You can play with the weather, the time of day, and even add a ton of particles like fireflies and songbirds. And get this, you can even create camera flight paths to make short videos. It's like being the director of your own samurai movie. The only downside is that Jin's facial expressions could use a little work. But that's just a minor quibble. Ghost of Tsushima's photo mode is a game within a game, and it's amazing. And that's our review of Ghost of Tsushima. This game is a visual spectacle with excellent combat that kept us engaged for hours on end. From its beautiful landscapes to its epic side quests, this game is truly a samurai's dream come true. But what did you think? Did you agree with our review or did you have a different experience? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more gaming content. Until next time, keep on gaming.